Hello everyone, the following video includes opinions about WoW Classic, Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers, and the overall state of MMORPGs in 2019. We really hope you enjoy this video and get involved with the discussion in the comments below, and we also want to encourage everyone to remember to respect everybody's opinion. Even if you don't agree with it, that's okay. Now, as a reminder, you do not need to agree with my thoughts and conclusion, but we do hope you share your own thoughts and what you want to see going forward. And now, let's discuss. Alright, so let's have some fun. First, if you like pizza and video games, be sure to hit that like button. And let's say if you hate puppies, be sure to hit that dislike button, you monsters out there. Alright, so anyway, right now unfolding before our eyes is an experiment that's here to answer the question that's been at the hearts of MMO fans for a very long time. The mantra, you think you do, but you don't, is being tested, and the soul of what makes an MMORPG so appealing hangs in the balance. It's a proof long needed, and for some it's validation, and for others perhaps it's just a sweet trip back into a bit of nostalgia. Now, does WoW Classic have what it takes to not only survive but to thrive in today's market, or will players forget about it and just move on as easily? Honestly, we're going to have to wait and see for a few months for that answer. But both Shadowbringers and WoW Classic try to address these needs in two very different ways. Now, in this video, we're going to dive into the impact of you think you do, but you do. Now, if you don't know, I've never really been a WoW player. For years, I played and lived in Final Fantasy XI, but I did pop into WoW a little bit around Wrath of the Lich King, checked it out like once, just a little bit, but it never really hooked me like Final Fantasy XI did. Now, when Final Fantasy XIV was announced, I said that it was time to move on from 11, so into this new Final Fantasy game, I went and I didn't look back, at least until Eureka was introduced to the Stormblood expansion. Now, stepping back into Final Fantasy XI was both amazing and horrible. The trouble from getting into the game was still there, but what I found was an experience that was both familiar and unforgiving, but yet still beautiful in ways that was hard to describe. Stepping into WoW Classic elicited the same feelings that Final Fantasy XI did, but having no nostalgic draw to the game, it immediately felt like home. The challenge was there, the mystery was there, and the hope was there, not just for WoW Classic, but for Final Fantasy XI. Because maybe, just maybe, if WoW Classic can succeed in today's market, perhaps Final Fantasy XI Remastered could as well. Now, remastered is a key word and difference that we'll cover here at the very end of the video. Obviously, this might just end up being a pipe dream, but it's still a dream nevertheless about the fight for the heart and soul of what makes an MMORPG. But in looking at this and playing WoW Classic, it becomes painfully clear to see everything that we've actually sacrificed over the last 15 years to help build and maintain the player base. Now, quality of life is a beautiful thing. But did we bring in the right quality of life? And if not, what was the true cost of it? The statement you think you do, but you don't, brings this to mind specifically. Do players really want what WoW Classic has? Or are they just looking at it with rose-tinted goggles and remembering when they had tons of time to pour into these style of games? Obviously, times before we had all these responsibilities and families and jobs. I want to focus in on one quality of life feature that I feel is specifically responsible for the slow decline of the soul of the MMORPG. I've talked with many people over various different formats here on YouTube, streaming, or Twitter, and essentially everybody kind of has their own theory. Everybody kind of pieces it apart. It's sharding, or it's this, or it's that. But for me, personally, it's matchmaking. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love matchmaking. Matchmaking means that as a player, I can log into the game, I can put myself in a queue, and then I can let the game find me people to play with. It's fast, and typically it's easy, but more than that, it's convenient. But I feel like it also might be suffocating the life out of these communities. Now, not entirely, but just bear with me. Most often, actually more than not, you play the content, you have a good time, and then you go about your day. Sometimes you might have bad experiences, and those do tend to stand out, but hopefully those are few and far between. But what did matchmaking really cost us? It cost us, the first and foremost, player agency, the ability to build out your character in unique and interesting ways. It also cost us the ability to have fight and content with different rules that required both different gear, maybe different group compositions, to the point where, yes, people in fact were excluded if they didn't have certain things already met. But again, that ties into, matchmaking. It also cost us the potential real connection with other players. Now, I might be easily romanticizing this because there are obviously bad experiences that we've had with communicating with others, but the ability for us to work together, to come together, to work hard and try to overcome obstacles as a community, honestly, that has kind of went by the wayside. Now, not entirely, and there's obviously MMOs with various examples where they do this in various different ways, but the fact is that because it would take you longer to reform your group, to go back to town, to run back to the dungeon, honestly, it was just easier to work with the people that you ended up having with you, rather than just sitting here saying, you know what, I'm going to take whatever penalty there is, because that's going to be much more convenient for me and my playstyle. Now, obviously, it's easy to see what we've gained. More time playing the game, less time waiting around for things to do, and the numbers and the data clearly show this. But I feel as if the numbers and the data are actually wrong, or perhaps more accurately, how we actually interpret the data is wrong. Now, I've spoken about this before when Final Fantasy introduced the Blue Mage to the game. It ended up being called a limited job, and limited in ways of obviously the level cap, but as well as matchmaking. Now, before WoW Classic, even Final Fantasy XIV tried to come up with its own solution to player agency to an already established game. So now you might be asking yourself, well, what are we going to do? Matchmaking is essential. Without these quality of life features, how are these games going to survive in today's market? And I think I really have a weird solution, or at least something for us to think about. First, obviously, let's highlight the nice quality of life feature, the Party Finder. Now, this is a tool that allows you to post recruitment messages and allows players to be able to go and play the game, run quests, and do more without the need to essentially be in any one area. Some might argue that this is perhaps too far, too much quality of life. And you're going to end up missing out on the busy cities where players would gather to recruit players, and perhaps they're right. But for the most part, being able to at least have a way to post and to seek would be very handy when working on other content in the game. And obviously looking for guilds and communities to be a part of, that seems for me like an essential choice, but I'm also very interested in what you think about that. So what I'm actually about to propose isn't a new idea. It's one that's actually come up from time to time, and looking specifically at Final Fantasy XIV, the idea of the hardcore server has been brought up before. Something along the lines of removing the duty finder, taking what Eureka is and applying it to the overall world in totality, making the world dangerous to go alone, and this obviously is more possible than ever before with the world visit system. Now granted, this is me trying to blend the best of both worlds together. With the world visit system, being able to jump onto a hardcore server and leave might seem like a waste of time, and maybe I would agree, but merely bringing this up as a way to see what players want to experience in the game and play the game the way they want could be very interesting. Obviously, when in reality, I'm fully aware of the development costs and the resources needed in order to make this hardcore server a thing. Obviously, one that is removing features and changes how the core game plays on a server-by-server basis. This is obviously just a pipe dream. But so was WoW Classic at some point. It's been really interesting to see how Final Fantasy introduced various systems like Eureka into the game, where it tries to capture that same old school feeling, and it's very possible that I'm obviously asking way too much of these companies, and that's easily said than done. There will always be those fond memories and those frustrating memories of the past, but beyond the grind that has remained today is the communities and the people that have formed around these games. And this is something to be on the label of Classic or Eureka or Sandbox that's been there for me. I'll always cherish it very deeply. Now, for me, WoW Classic has planted a seed of hope, a seed of intrigue. If they go down the same road that they've went down before, then it's just going to be what it was and is. But maybe, just maybe, we could see a new future for the MMORPG. But anyway, that's just one guy's opinion. opinion. Thanks for watching. And thanks to Matt Pat for all the laughs and spoofs over at Game Theory. I was laughing with my friends tonight as I was finishing the script, and I thought it was a fun way to kind of end let's discusses, because obviously this is just an opinion. The idea is to provoke, a dialogue, a discussion, to see what you guys think and feel. As a parent, as a husband, as a working individual who has to go and to a job and work, can't sit in queue all day, can't sit here and play all day, nor do I think I would want to. I don't envy streamers and those people who just do this all day long. I think that could be very stressful. But it's curious because there is something beautiful about these worlds that I really appreciate. There's something beautiful, obviously, about the past. And we can call it nostalgia, but WoW Classic doesn't have that nostalgia for me. But yet, at the same time, it truly is a fascinating experience, one that I'm appreciative to have. And that's where the idea, obviously, of kind of the hardcore server or the option to kind of do different things in. And I don't know if essentially we're going to see that in like Final Fantasy XIV. Nor probably should we. Ultimately, like I said earlier in the video, the hope is for Final Fantasy XI Remastered. But it's not that all the quality of life, in my opinion, is good or bad, right? Because obviously I love the features and the things that make it easy, but those things come at a cost. It would be really interesting to see a remastered version of 11, not like, just thrown together, but when you look at play online, when you look at bringing it to consoles, when you look at all the things that they could do, while at the same time not completely sacrificing what exists, like the game, the open world, the danger, the party, grouping together. That's just kind of my opinion. I know everybody's going to vary very differently on a scale. Some people are like, no, I'm never going to go back to that game. And some people look at it and be like, man, it would be so epic if they did. Anyway, so nobody knows if WoW Classic's going to be ahead. Again, like I said at the top of the video, we're going to have to wait and see. We're going to have to wait and see what happens over the course of the next 6 months and more. But if people really like it, there's a market for it. And maybe that can actually then communicate that we've read the data all wrong. We've had the data points, but we interpreted it incorrectly. And MMOs don't need to be for everybody. Every game doesn't need to be for everybody. That's why we have the beauty of game genres, right? And I, at the end of the day, don't feel like they have to make this classic or MMORPGs for me, for Brian. And so I'm actually arguing against my own self-interest here. And hopefully that comes across. Now, I love both games. We're a fan of all games here. I get people have kind of the team mentality. And it's fine to root for your team. I just don't see any reason in rooting against the other team. That's just me, though. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. If you stuck around here, you can obviously hit the like button if you want. You can obviously hit the dislike button if you want. It doesn't mean you hate puppies. That was just a joke. I thought it was funny. And hopefully you found some more of my humor wrapped up in this discussion video. Let me know what you think about the format in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts and we can have that discussion. And if you want, if you're frustrated or you're not feeling like we're having that discussion, you can always reach out to me on Discord or Twitter. Links are all in the description of this video below. Look forward to having any kind of conversations with you guys. Hope you all have a fantastic day. And hopefully this video at least made you smile somewhat. We'll see. Some people don't like opinions unless, I don't know, they agree with them. It's a funny world. I love you all. Have a great day and talk to you soon. Take care.